Hello and welcome to this edition of Cronkite Sports Live. I'm Emmy Keenan. Beside me, I have Alex Gaul. Alex, we have a big show. What's going on?
We got tons of things going on in the world of ASU athletics. We'll start with some breaking news, though, from Arizona State football. According to the Arizona Republic's Jeff Metcalf, ASU starting quarterback Jayden Daniels will be a game-time decision for tomorrow's game against USC, and that's some big news, Emmy.
That is big news. And staying on the topic of football, the 5-3 Arizona State football team will face off against USC tomorrow here in Tempe. Our Jack Lauderay has more on some takeaways from head coach Herm Edwards' press conference.
Coming off a bye, it's a new-look Sun Devil football team. They're no longer ranked. They've lost their last 2 games. With the USC Trojans coming into Tempe this week, here are my big 3 takeaways from the Herm Edwards press conference that took place this week. The first big takeaway is about penalties and not showing emotion, showing passion.
To be quite honest, we're not good enough to allow an extension of a drive or give a team an extra play or 2 because of a foul, right? We're just not good enough at this point. And I don't know if any team is, to be quite honest. But we don't want to get into that. We got to stay away from that. And we got into that against UCLA. So we got to stay way, way far from that, that's for sure.
The next big takeaway for the Sun Devils and Herm Edwards is that Jayden is still their guy. Even though the last 2 weeks have been a little bit rocky for the offense, he still fully supports Jayden and has his back.
Quarterback is the key. I mean, he really is. When you have one, you feel like you can build your team around it. And I think we have one. And I think we can build our team around and our program around the guy we have. And you guys have seen him play. And we just got to get some more pieces. We're not there yet. And there's a process to it, and it's hard, and it's tedious, and you got to enjoy the journey through the process.
And the last takeaway from the press conference this week is how Herm Edwards sees this USC receiving corps and how they're going to match up against them.
It's the ball that goes down the field. It's the high ball, it's the jump ball. How many can we contest? Because they're going to throw it with tight coverage and figure their guys coming down with the ball. No different than last year when we had Nikhil. Nikhil was covered, but he wasn't covered. Throw it to him. See if he can. That's what I used to tell Manny. I said, if you're stuck, just throw it to one. If you're stuck, everybody's covered, find one, throw it to him. Just throw it up in there, and we probably got a 70% chance he's going to catch it, right? And so that's what they're going to do. We have to make some plays. They might catch some, but we got to make some too. So it has to be one of those kind of deals, and you have to be aware of that.
Now, the Sun Devils have had a bye week and all of this week to get ready to face that tough wide receiver core and the rest of this USC team when they come here on Saturday for another mid-afternoon matchup. Reporting in Sun Devil Stadium, Jack Lauderay, Cronkite Sports.
And as the Sun Devils welcome the Trojans into Sun Devil Stadium this weekend, they will also be welcoming in an Arizona native back to the Valley. Here's Spencer Chihawk with a look at USC quarterback Keeton Slovis.
When you think football stars from the state of Arizona, guys like Pat Tillman, Darren Woodson, N'Keal Harry come to mind. One to become more familiar with is USC's starting quarterback Keeton Slovis. A Scottsdale native, Slovis is returning home this week to make his first start in the Valley since his time with the Desert Mountain Wolves. While he didn't rack up many wins in high school, he was coached by Hall of Famer Kurt Warner. At USC, Slovis has overexceeded expectations after receiving the starting job when sophomore JT Daniels' season ended by a knee injury. In Slovis' first start, he broke USC's record for most passing yards by a debuting true freshman with 377. His best offensive performance arguably came 2 weeks ago against Colorado University, where he threw for a season-high 406 yards and 4 touchdowns in a 35-31 win. For what to expect this week from Slovis and the rest of the Trojans, here's WCSN football reporter Reed Harmon.
The Trojans have weapons, and lots of them, but especially in the passing game. With Michael Pittman Jr., Tyler Vaughns, and Amon-Ra St. Brown, the height, physicality, speed, and athleticism will prove to be a problem for ASU's Chase Lucas and Jack Jones. Besides the fact that Pittman and Vaughns have combined for over 1,500 yards and 13 touchdowns, placing both of the physical receivers in the top 5 in receiving categories in the conference. The offense as a whole is a group that is not afraid to spread the ball vertically. And a couple plays just to show you, Michael Pittman Jr., the senior NFL caliber receiver, and you can tell by one of these plays that he makes on 3rd and 10 against Oregon last week. It's Pittman And it's not necessarily something you see from college football, but more from the NFL level. You see him flatten out his feet, causes the cornerback to go back onto his back foot. And that's an advantage for Michael Pittman for the next few games. The Trojans ranked 28th in college football in third down conversions, while the Sun Devil defense sits at the bottom of the rankings in third down defense, 102nd to be exact. If the Devils have any shot at holding back the Trojans, it's the secondary that has the heavy task. Back to you guys.
At 5-4, USC is all but out of contention to be the Pac-12's first college football playoff representative. But there are two schools in the conference with a chance to make it to the top four. Our Dominic Stern has the latest on the CFP rankings in this week's Impact.
The first rendition of the 2019 college football playoff rankings came out Tuesday, and the Pac-12 was very well represented at the top. For the first time since 2016, there are two teams in the top 10. Coming in at number 8 is the Utah Utes. This is Utah's highest CFP ranking since the format was introduced in 2014. The second Pac-12 team in the top 10 is the Oregon Ducks, who won up the Utes, coming in at number 7. This is their first time being ranked by the CFP committee since 2015, and the highest they have been ranked since making the national championship. These two teams have set themselves up for a date in San Francisco in the Pac-12 championship. If the two teams go into this matchup without losing any of their final 3 regular season games, it is highly likely they'll be the Pac-12's first representative in the college football playoff since Washington in 2016.
Be the tradition. That's the motto around Greg Powers and the Sun Devil men's hockey program. Last weekend, ASU lived up to that motto, pouring on the offense and scoring 9 goals in a 2-game sweep of then number 9 Quinnipiac, their first sweep of a top 10 team in the program's young history. Our Michael Quaid has you covered with the recap.
Number 9 Quinnipiac Bobcats traveled to Tempe this weekend. On a 2-game series versus the Sun Devils, the young core gave the levers they needed for a 5-3 win in the first game. Logan Genuine found the back of the net twice as well.
Genuine scored in the first and third period, having his first multi-goal game at ASU.
It's an amazing pass by Semick, and obviously there at the end by Willie. It's the end is easy. It's the work that got it there is the hard part. So.
Jack Judson, another piece of the young core, notched his first collegiate goal here at ASU.
After an excellent form at Saturday night, the Sun Devils did not let their foot off the gas. After the first period, a 2-0 lead, goals by Wilson and Lemieux. All around, the Sun Devils were contributing on the stat sheet, Coach Power says.
Walker and Maniscalco also tallied goals on the stat sheet, coming away with a 4-1 win on Saturday.
Walker in front. Sanchez turns, fires, glove down. This one finds the net.
That's the effort across the board, top to bottom, in every way that we knew we had in us, and we brought it out tonight.
Sun Devils took the sweep here this weekend. Mike McQuaid, Cronkite Sports.
And right now we welcome on men's hockey analyst Allie Krusniak to answer a few questions. So Allie, what did ASU do so well?
Yeah, thanks for having me. ASU did a lot of things well. They maintained puck possession and they were winning faceoffs. They held Quinnipiac to only 20 shots on goal on Saturday. And to put that into some perspective, Quinnipiac was holding up on 32 plus shots on goal per game coming into the weekend. Also, every player was contributing to the stat sheet. They had 12 different players with points on the weekend and 7 different players with goals. Some leaders of the weekend were junior defenseman Jacob Wilson with 2 goals and 2 assists on the weekend, and freshman forward Logan Genuine with 2 goals and 1 assist. Coach Greg Powers says if they continue to play like this, they're going to win a lot of games.
We're talking about wins now. Why was this sweep so important to the Devils?
Yeah, the first and foremost reason, the obvious one, is Quinnipiac was the team that knocked ASU out of their first NCAA tournament appearance. This was a revenge series for the Sun Devils. The emotions were running high. It easily could have gone the other way, but the Sun Devils were able to maintain their emotions. And Quinnipiac's a good team. They have had a lot of success in the past few years. This is their first back-to-back loss for the Bobcats since January of 2018, and the first time they've been swept on the road since 2018 ECAC postseason at Cornell. And again, Power said, yeah, Friday night's win was great, but it meant nothing if they didn't get this sweep. So this is a way for the Sun Devils to get some confidence going into the rest of the season.
Well, thank you, Allie, for joining us. For more of her content, check out our website at cronkitesports.com. Now let's take it on over to Riley Trujillo for this week's Sun Devil social media.
The Arizona State men's hockey team is coming off a hot sweep this past week, defeating Quinnipiac, but the temperature couldn't carry over on their trip to Alaska, where the team bus got stuck in the snow after practice yesterday. Now, being in Alaska, they had no choice but to get out and try to fix the bus themselves in their tennis shoes and team warm-ups. 9 players joined by strength and conditioning coach Leanne Blinn took the challenge, and after some strategy was implemented, they were finally able to get the wheels on the bus rolling again. Assistant coach Mike Field quoted the tweet and pointed out that this week was probably a good one for him to take a recruiting trip. And the team's response? Well, it's one less body on the bus. Barring any more unexpected snow stops, expect the Sun Devils to face off against the Nanooks later tonight.
It wasn't too long ago that the ASU men's hockey team took a trip to China. It represented new ground for the program, and it was a great tune-up for the regular season. But now another team has made the trip across the ocean. And of course, that's Bobby Hurley and the Arizona State men's basketball team. The team has been in China throughout the week preparing for their first game of the 2019-20 regular season, a non-conference clash against Pac-12 foe Colorado in Shanghai. ASU returns 4 key contributors from last season in Kamani Lawrence, Rob Edwards, Romello White, and Remy Martin. With some new speedy additions in the backcourt, it's quite possible the Sun Devils could return to the Guard U glory of just 2 seasons ago. You can catch the game tonight on ESPN2 at 8:30 p.m. Arizona time. Now we'll move things over to the ASU women's basketball team, which opened their season on Tuesday with a big victory over Air Force. We now bring in Gabby Ducharme to break that one down. Gabby, this is a young squad that's led by freshmen and sophomores. What was their impact in the first game?
Yeah, Alex, you talk about those freshmen. Sarah Bichetti really led things off for this team. She scored 12 points off the bench at that point guard position, came out firing on all cylinders from behind that arc. And then Ebony Walker and Sydney Caldwell came off the bench and absolutely nailed it. They scored 13 points combined in that second half. A really great outing by all 3 freshmen, and they're proving to be a force to be reckoned with, not only in the Pac-12 conference, but around the country.
Yeah, and Gabby, ASU got 7 steals in the second half of that Air Force game. What were your takeaways on their defensive effort?
Yeah, their defensive effort was nothing but perfection in the second half. Charlie Turner-Thorne did come out and say that they wanted to play fast and that they wanted their defense to fuel their offense. That's exactly what happened, Alex, as they really did get out on the break. They forced Air Force to make really silly mistakes. Kiara Russell, Sydney Caldwell really leading the way on that defensive effort for the Sun Devils in the second half, which allowed them to crack open that game and have a huge victory.
And Gabby, ASU faces Army on Sunday. What can we expect in that game and going forward for this team?
What we can really expect is a team that is going to allow their defense to fuel their offense. Charlie Turner-Thorne talked about it after the game, that they really want to be a confident team that allows themselves to wear their opponents down. They want to get out on the break, they want to run fast, and they want to allow their defense to handle all of that. Not only against Air Force did they do that tonight, but they will do it on Sunday against Army, and you can expect them to continue doing that because they are a smaller lineup against Pac-12 teams come January and February.
Yeah, thanks so much for joining us here on Cronkite Sports Live, Gabby. And for more of her content, you can go to cronkitesports.com.
The ASU women's volleyball team's 3-game win streak has been broken with now a 3-game losing streak as their last matchup against Stanford. Our Jake Fitzgerald has more on the story.
The Devils are back in Tempe tonight after having a road trip to Utah and Colorado. ASU now goes up against number 5 Stanford. The Devils will have to watch out for the Cardinal defense and will have to spread the ball around to be smart with the ball. The last time these two teams met, it was at Stanford where the Cardinals swept the Devils in 3 sets. However, this time around, ASU looks to give everything they got with a nothing-to-lose mentality.
Team like that, you have nothing to lose, like everybody's already writing you an L next to your team's name, so all you have is to gain. So just why not go out there and have fun and play hard and, hit hard and serve hard and hit the floor and just like you've never done before, because there's nothing to lose.
The Devils came out slow in this game, but began to pick up some momentum in the second set. ASU was solid defensively and began to set the ball around the court. The Devils just need to focus on taking ownership of their mistakes.
Owning your mistakes and not putting it on somebody else. So I think we have a lot of growing up to do in that aspect. I believe that every person on this team is capable of doing their job. Just it's a choice.
The Cardinal came on top in this one against the Devils, sweeping them in 3 sets. Next up, ASU looks to snap their 3-game losing streak against another top 25 opponent in number 20 Cal. From Desert Financial Arena and for Cronkite Sports, I'm Jake Fitzgerald.
It's a huge weekend for the Sun Devil women's hockey team as they embark on their Michigan road swing. Not only are the girls traveling on their final real road trip of the year, they'll also be playing 3 opponents to which they've never seen before. And those opponents would be in Davenport University, Adrian College, and the University of Michigan. Now, don't let these teams' records fool you. They all possess various ways to which they can pick apart their opponents. I mean, let's just take a look at Adrian. They were in the ACHA Division I semifinals last year, and even despite their 1-2 record to start the season, Adrian is comprised of a group of proven winners. Fortunately for this 8-1 Sun Devils team, so are they. If you're looking for a game to pay attention to this weekend, this is the marquee matchup for you. And Emmy, can you think of many things more exciting than a red-hot team matching up against a semifinalist from last year?
Thank you, Reagan. You are absolutely right. Not much more sounds more exciting than that. But from the ice to the water, the ASU women's swim team are 1-2 right now, while the men are currently undefeated after their meet against USC last Friday. Here's what head coach Bob Bowman had to say about both teams' performances.
Just having been able to be around teams that swim at a relatively high level has been a benefit when we get into the racing in the Pac-12. Well, we need to race tougher at the end of races. There were close races that we lost that would have made the difference in the meet. We only got beat by 6 points.
Right.
And we need everybody to figure out that one place switch here or there makes the difference.
This weekend, the 4th-ranked ASU wrestling team begins their season with 2 top 20 duels against Purdue and Virginia. Redshirt sophomore Cade Belshane knows team expectations are high and for championship caliber and is ready for the whole squad to wrestle hard.
Beside the accolades, I just want everyone to wrestle to their fullest potential. You know, I want them to work hard, not to leave the mat with any regrets or any what ifs.
The Sun Devils return to Tempe next weekend with matches on Friday evening and Saturday morning at Desert Financial Arena. And now, Emmy, it's time for the way it is. You know how it works. We ask each other a couple questions, and the winner gets to rant. So starting off with ASU football, they welcome in USC this weekend. What is more important for the Sun Devils, a return to form for their offense or a more disciplined defense?
Well, Alex, I can't say which is which, but let's just talk about that team's mentality. We talked about it last week. Even Herm has said the same. I don't think they're going to have that winning mindset until they put it in their heads. It's not going to happen until then.
Yeah, I think it's definitely important for their offense to get going, Emmy, on Saturday. Jaden Daniels is a game-time decision we mentioned at the top of the show. If he's in the lineup for the Sun Devils, I think they get it done.
All right, awesome. Next question. ASU women's basketball put up a whopping 22 fast break points against Air Force. Over under 20 fast break points on Sunday against Army?
Emmy, this team is so fast, and I really want to say over 20. I think they're going to get really close to it. I think they get about 18 or 19, but they don't break 20.
I got to disagree with you. This team is on fire. Just by one game, you can tell. And I think they're in that beginning of the season mindset. It's just about how they keep that going, that momentum. So I'm going to say over.
Yeah, and Emmy, Territorial Cup time moving to soccer in Tucson tonight. How many goals does ASU women's soccer score, and do they pick up their first Pac-12 victory?
Well, I mean, Alex, will they score any? It's 0-8 in conference play, and this whole pressure of the Territorial Cup is just going to add on to that. They're not going to win. They're not going to get this.
Yeah, it wasn't too long ago that we were talking about this team winning 6 or 7 in Pac-12 and going to the NCAA tournament. I don't think it's going to happen either, Emmy. I think they lose 2-0.
All right, awesome. So who's going to win?
That's the real question. Now, our producers, Alex and Troy, in the studio, need to pick the reader and who gets to rant after this fantastic edition of Way It Is, right?
Okay.
There we go. 2 in a row. The word of the day is speed. But what does that word actually mean? Well, it depends on the context. Usain Bolt is definitely speed on the track. Michael Phelps is definitely speed in the pool. But what is speed on a basketball court? And how do we quantify it? Obviously, we can measure 40 times and time from baseline to baseline, but on a team level, the best way to measure speed at which a team wants to play is through fast break points. The more fast break points, the faster the team's style. You see, there's something peculiar about Arizona State women's basketball this season, and that is their speed. Last season, Arizona State was a team that would grind you out in the half court, but head coach Charlie Turner-Thorne is the first person to admit that her team lacked the speed to run teams off the floor on the break. ASU averaged just 6.5 fast break points per game last season and often had trouble closing gaps when trailing late in games. But it was abundantly clear in their season opening win over Air Force that this trend is quickly reversing. ASU blitzed the Falcons with 22 fast break points. And to put that into perspective, the Devils scored a total of 21 fast break points in their 5 postseason matchups last season. With the addition of speedy point guard Sarah Bichetti and front court transfer Jatavia Tapley, it's obvious Arizona State women's basketball has speed this season, and they aren't afraid to use it. And that's the way it is.
All right, awesome. Let's go into top plays. Alex, let's see what they have for us today. Number 3, we are looking at ASU women's basketball still on there. We see Kiera Russell. She's getting the ball and she's heading down court. She's going to put the shot in for the Devils on their season opener.
Yeah, I mean, that's just, we were talking about that speed from ASU women's basketball. But now to the ice. It's Johnny Walker in a win against Quinnipiac. He stole the show. Look at it on the screen right there. In the air and into the net.
All right, and number 1, we are sticking to hockey. If you look at Logan Genuine, the freshman forward, he's going to hit the goal in the back of the net. That's going to be from an assist, a sweep pass from Austin Lemieux. His second goal of the night, if you just check it out right there. Oh my goodness, it's insane.
What a goal right there.
What a goal. What a goal.
And a sweep for ASU and a sweep for us, I think, here today.
For us,
Great show for Cronkite Sports Live. And thank you again for tuning into this edition of Cronkite Sports Live. For our entire crew, our producers Alex Hook and Troy Townsher, and for Emmy Keenan, I'm Alex Gaul. Thank you for the privilege of your time, and have a great Friday.